Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is July the 17th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Hopefully, you've had a good Thursday. I know mine was good on the overall, pretty good day. We did the usual. We got up. We went to work. Work was busy. Work was a bit busy, but we slogged on through. It wasn't too crazy. Didn't get in any drama. No kerfuffles detected. So that was good. And then from there, we went to the gym. Gym was good, no hassles, so we love that. Got pretty in and out. I would say, what was any of the bummer parts? My back, still bothering me, which sucks going into like my heavy lifting, weekend situation. So I'm hoping that we rally, or that the Advil carries, what have you. I had to come home and take some after not taking any pain reliever for 2 days. So feeling a little bit better now as we speak, but still I would say like the pain's at about a 1, something like that. So just got to be mindful of that. It's a bit of a bummer. But overall, today was good. I will say, though, just being completely frank, with my dear listeners, my lovelies, I feel like, I don't know, I got a bit of that, the old depression, the old depressy spaghetti. I don't know. I've been in a bit of a funk, like this week, just in general. And it sucks because, like, this is like a week where if I really look at it, things have been solid. Nothing too bad outside of some, silly little internet interactions that you can they're fine. They're nothing. They're here today, gone tomorrow. But like it's lingering on that. And then you add like, I guess like maybe the back pain situation. Then I was doing tricks on it today. I was thinking about like, man, I've been by myself for like over 5 years now. And I'm like, okay, and I'm like, it sucks, man. It just sucks. And like, I don't know, I have like this male pattern loneliness or some shit. I don't know. I just don't feel good about it right now. But I also know that like you put me around anybody for too long, I get a little crazy. Like I don't know. I just can't win right now with that. But overall, I know I'm in a good place. I really try not to stay in a bad mode, in a bad mood, mojo, whatever you want to call it. Especially when I know that if I look at my life, I look at my days, whatever, out of bird's eye, it's like things are good. You're making it happen. You're doing the best you can. That's all you can do. Things are gonna work out. You just got to give it time. So I'm really hoping that my mental improves and I get better with that, and I'm sure I will. So let's just knock on wood for that. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. Try not to be too mopey, you know what I mean? Especially when, like I said, it's good. I don't want to like tank my summer because I want to be in my up my own ass. It just seems so silly. So yeah, if you saw me crying on Facebook, don't worry about it. You didn't see anything. All right. And I didn't almost cry to a Halsey song this week at the gym. I didn't. That never happened. Alleged, whatever. Anyway, all right. Our first story comes from the BBC. Iraq shopping center fire. Let me run that back. From the BBC. Iraq shopping center fire leaves 61 dead, many missing. A fire that tore through a five-story shopping center in the eastern Iraqi city of Kut, I think it's Kut, has left at least 61 dead, local officials said. The blaze at the mall, which opened 7 days ago, broke out on Wednesday night and has been brought under control. Videos posted on social media showed firefighters rescuing people from the mall's roof, but state media reported that many were still missing. A tragedy and a calamity has befallen us. Regional Governor Mohammed Al Maya said, adding that legal action would be brought against the shopping center's owner. The cause of the fire was not immediately known. Now we're going to kind of just, run through the rest of this. I was reading some quotes, and one person said that while they were in the mall, like the AC unit blew up on like the second floor and then a fire erupted. So that might have been the cause, not 100% sure. Also, a major factor that I heard from the quotes that hasn't been like confirmed by a government or anything like that as of yet, but that someone said that there was no fire alarm system. And I'm like, how do you have a whole ass shopping center with no fire system? That's so scary. Like, that's so scary to think about. And as a consumer, as a customer, that's not something you're thinking about. That's not something you're pondering as you're going into the mall and seeing if they got any Nikes or whatever. Like, what's this local Hot Topic got? I'm sure that would be surprising if there was a Hot Topic in Iraq. That'd be cool though. It'd be hella cool. But yeah, like, you would think that these things are just gonna be standard, but sometimes these corners get cut. And, it's very unfortunate that something like this happened and so many lives were lost. So obviously condolences on that, to all the people, all the families. If I get any more details on what caused the fire or any more fallout, aftermath, then we'll definitely come back to Iraq with more details. But let's go ahead and move on to Ukraine. Bit of a shakeup politically. From the Associated Press, Zelensky appoints a new prime minister for a war-weary nation. Fresh off securing a plan to receive more U.S. weaponry, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has appointed a new prime minister, the key negotiator to his country's deal with the U.S. to partner on the development of minerals. By naming Yulia Seredenko, the former economy minister, to become the country's first new head of government since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, Zelensky on Thursday elevated a loyal politician who has experience in diplomacy with the U.S. and other Western nations. As mentioned earlier, she was really key on keeping the mineral deal, that rare earth mineral deal that like Trump was touting as like, you kind of need this for us to stay involved right now. Like, so she was really key in keeping that, rock steady and going. And I just think, I guess generally she has a good rapport with the U.S. and, other Western nations. So she seemed poised to take the mantle. The outgoing Prime Minister, Denis Shmyhal, will become the defense minister at a time when Ukraine is looking to ramp up domestic weapons production as President Donald Trump seeks to bring an end to the war. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see in 50 days, huh? Let's see. What else is there? There's a bit more on the shakeups. It's seemingly less important, though. But Shimon will replace Rustem Umerov as defense minister. Although Umerov sought to push reforms, critics said the ministry under his command was plagued by mismanagement. Also on Thursday, Zelensky nominated Olga Stefanshina to become Ukraine's next ambassador to the U.S. In the meantime, he appointed Stefanshina, previously the minister for the European integration, as the special representative for the development of cooperation with the United States. So yeah, that's like more or less the keynotes there for Ukraine in terms of their, top official shakeup there. So we can move on to the next story. We're going to Thailand. Let's take a trip. From the Associated Press, Thai police arrest woman who allegedly seduced and blackmailed Buddhist monks. Police in Thailand arrested a woman Tuesday who allegedly enticed a string of Buddhist monks into sexual relationships and then pressured them into making large payments to cover up their intimacy. The possible violation of the celibacy rule for monks has rocked Buddhist institutions and gripped public attention in Thailand in recent weeks. At least 9 abbots and senior monks involved in the scandal have been disrobed and cast out of monkhood, the Royal Thai Police Central Investigation Bureau said. Wilawan Esmawat, in her mid-30s, hell yeah, we love that, this is 30, was arrested at her home in Nonthaburi province north of the capital Bangkok on charges including extortion, money laundering, and receiving stolen goods. Police said they traced money transferred to her by a senior monk from a bank account belonging to his temple in northern Thailand. So already you're seeing a problem here, right? Because like the money that they are giving to this woman is not necessarily like their money to even give. It's technically church house money. You know what I'm saying? So that's already a problem right there that you can kind of just see, right off the rip. Obviously, they do have these celibacy rules, like in their laws, so that's a whole thing. So I guess you cannot mess with these guys. Like they are married to the work. You cannot they cannot even touch a woman. So the fact that they engaged in the relationship is already bad for both parties here. But then the added layer of her saying, okay, after the relationship has been initiated, now I'm going to flip the script on you and you're going to pay me money or I'm going to tell everyone and you're going to get disrobed and it's going to be a whole thing. But thinking about that though, that's kind of a nasty game of chicken, right? Because you do that, you guys are both going to go down. You're extorting him. Like, that's very obvious. But naturally, these guys know that they're automatically going to lose their job. They fucked up. So they're like, fine, I'll do whatever you want if it means that, you won't tell on me. So that's crazy. That's fucking wild. A fun note here, though. Fun fact that I didn't know about Thailand here. Scandals involving monks surface a few times a year in Thailand, but usually don't involve senior members of the clergy. So this isn't necessarily out of the blue. I think what makes this such headline news is that there are so many top officials who were messing with Wilawan, affiliating with Wilawan, I should say. Now let's talk dollars. Let's talk baht. Willawan's bank account received around 385 million baht, or $11.9 million. That's USD, baby, in the past 3 years. 3 years! But most of the funds were spent on online gambling websites. Oh, so she kind of floundered it. She kind of dropped the bag. She kind of just gave the bag to, fucking goddamn online gambling. That's not even that fun, I feel like. You know what I mean? You're not even getting like the rush or experience or the smells or the fucking buffet. You're just online in a room just pressing buttons and losing. Damn. And then you gotta go back out and fleece these like fucking bunks for more money. Let's see here. I kind of just want to move to my sum up phase here of the story. I was really drawn to this. I found it to be very interesting. The fact that religion is involved and you got a little bit of love, lust, maybe you can say, is involved. You got the law involved because there's no separation here of church and state. This is interwoven, entwined. And, in some ways, I get Wilawan completely getting the bag. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're going to get into these relationships and you're going to flip the fucking script on them. Like, I get that. But also, like, clearly there are clear stakes here because of the fact that the law is involved. And it's like, we have literally rules in the books. You can't do this. And she did it for, multiple people. And, it seemingly caught up to her. They were able to trace it from bank to bank and that's it. That's all she wrote. So, I mean, like I said, in some ways I am kind of like, get the bag. Are the monks the victims here? I don't feel like they are. I definitely don't think they are. No, because at the end of the day, they should have just said, "Oh, no, thank you." If she was being, if she was propositioning them or anything like that, or they were being propositioned by her, you just do your due diligence. You're of the robes. You're of the clergy. You're a monk. You're supposed to meditate like a Buddhist. You over here doing some Motley Crue shit. You can't do that, man. You can't be fucking around like that. Those are the rules. I don't make them. You know what I mean? I think it's a shame. I think you should be allowed to, love the Lord and, at least have something. At least be married to somebody. You know what I mean? I think rules like that seem so restrictive. Whenever I look and think about like the Catholic faith, I'm like, I don't know. That's a whole other can of worms. So let's not open that for this episode. But yeah, I mean, it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. But I to some extent, I gotta say, salute to trying to get the bag, I guess. I know maybe that's a little fucked up. Maybe it's a little villainous of me to say. But I mean, at the same time, you ran the game and you got caught. So now they losing they jobs and motherfuckers going to jail. I don't believe she has Wilawan. I don't believe she has legal counsel as of yet. So we'll see how things go from there. But yeah, there's that. So that's one lady that we have in the thumbnail. I believe she is in the left corner. if my memory serves correct. Now let's get to the lady in the right, of the bottom right corner of the thumbnail. From ABC News, Maureen Comey, federal prosecutor in Sean Diddy Combs and Ghislaine Maxwell cases, fired. The Justice Department on Wednesday fired Maureen Comey from the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, where she most recently led the prosecution of Sean Diddy Combs, multiple sources told ABC News. A spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan declined to comment. A spokesperson for the Justice Department did not immediately respond to a call for comment. Comey was a highly regarded assistant U.S. attorney who successfully prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell, the former associate of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and multiple gang members before the split verdict earlier this month in the trial of Combs, who was convicted of prostitution-related charge but acquitted of more serious charges. Comey was also involved in the office's case against Epstein, who died by suicide. Maybe you should put that in quotations. They did not, but many people are doing that, especially right now. In 2019, at New York City's Metropolitan Correctional Center, while he was awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. Another thing to note about Comey, if you are maybe familiar with her name, you're more maybe news inclined, or just politically nerdy, whatever. You keep track of all these motherfuckers. Comey is the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, who President Trump fired during his first term in office because he initiated the Russia investigation, which is not something we've really gone into details about. It's old news. I try not to really rehash it. I'm pretty sure he hired Comey, and then would go on to fire him, like many people who would tell any kind of line or to try to do their job in any kind of capacity in a way that he didn't like. If he could fire you, he would turn the fucking knife on you. So that's essentially what he did here. The Russian investigation was, I believe, let's see if I can get this right off the top of my fucking dome, go back in my mental caverns. A whole thing that alleged that Trump was doing some weird fuck shit with Putin in Russia. I think there's PP on the bed involved with the Clintons and the Obamas used to sleep on this bed when they came to Russia, if I'm not mistaken. I might be getting a little off there, but essentially this is this whole thing that was drawn up, and like it essentially the potential crime there was like, oh, there's collusion with Trump and Putin. And that's not good. We gotta get to the bottom of it. But it turned out that the source that was giving out this information was just fucking making it up. So that's something that Trump holds on to like really hard because, like, one, it was a scandal. It didn't look good. Two, it was something that turned out that was wrong. Like, it was actually a witch hunt. Like, so it's something that he's even tried to use that Russia investigation in recent talk, because it's like, hey, this whole Epstein thing, it's a hoax. It's another fucking hit job on me. Don't you guys get it? Like, you guys are just buying the hype from the fucking Democrats again. Like, it's just like the Russia investigation. So he's mentioned this before. Also, when it just comes back to, the person at hand, Maureen Comey, it seems like they needed a pound of flesh. Someone needed to get fired because right now people are mad. The hoes are mad. And by the hoes, I mean MAGA lovers, MAGA heads. Like, there are, divides that have seemingly come up over the past week and a half now. People are really fucking pissed that Trump really was just going to do what every other administration has done with the Epstein thing, which is just pick it up and then leave it and not do anything with it. Put it fucking down. It's like, you were supposed to get to the bottom of it. Release the fucking list. Release the list. And it's like, nah, man, you're just getting the fucking runaround again, brother. That's how this works. And so some people are mad, and they're really squawking. They're getting on podcasts. They're getting really loud. And Trump is really, he's posting through it. He's trying to do the best he can. He's trying to say, hey, if you bring this up, you're stupid. This is old news. We got more important things to worry about. What are you doing? What are you talking about? He even invoked Obama's name on this shit. He's like, dude, I think this is like an Obama thing. Like, this is like an Obama-Biden bullshit thing. They're just like, ugh. So you also do, and I'm getting a bit of a side here, but we are kind of doing a bit of a catch-up. like even Democrats in Congress are trying to ride this fucking wagon of pointing the finger at Republicans saying, yeah, you guys got to release the list, release the information. Like they couldn't have done that fucking shit in their time. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's pot calling the kettle black here, but whatever. We all know that Democrats do what best? Whine, complain, and then do nothing after. Like that's just their modus operandi. I get it. So they're gonna play their fucking position. But needless to say, talking about positions, trying to get back to the core here. If anything, you would think maybe someone like Bondi would get fired. There's Dan Bongino or whatever the fuck his name is. He's deputy FBI deputy director, if I'm not mistaken, or like assistant, whatever. You know what I mean. Cash Patel could also take hits, for this shit, but it was seemingly maybe Bongino or like Bondi. A lot of people really want Bondi to get fired. Trump's like, nah, that's my girl. I fuck with her. I'm ride or die for her. She good. Maybe she could release some information. It would be cool. It would be nice. But like whatever she sees fit. But she's my girl. I fuck with her. He does not fuck with Maureen Comey. He don't fuck with no Comeys. He didn't like her to begin with. The fact that she was just here is like, oh, ew, I don't like that. Like, that's another Comey. Why is she here? She should leave. And I guess essentially, for whatever reason, you could say it's either for the Epstein related shit between the Ghislaine and Maxwell, because even though they got a deal, some people would say, well, where's the information? You know what I mean? Where's more details? Like, we should easily be getting those. And that's also been rumored that she has been working with what is it, FBI or whatever. But I mean, I haven't heard anything concrete on that, so I'm really not squeaking to that. But you could say with the Epstein thing, somehow it's her fault. I don't know how you really square that, but maybe that's what they're trying to do here. Or you could say it's because of the, Combs case. The fact that the two major charges that you guys tried to go for, they didn't stick. They didn't land. But, I mean, playing quick hindsight on that, I don't know. This seems like a very classic method. We talked about this a bit when we were talking about the case. In terms of using RICO the way they did, you could say it was a bit risky, a bit of a dice roll. But this is like generally the Kamehameha wave of our justice system when it comes to trying people that they feel like they kind of can't get. It's like, well, did you do it in like an organizational way? Okay, then then you guys are a gang. We'll just try you guys like a gang, and we'll just wrap you all up in a little bundle. And this is the crime. You all did this crime, or you can get you for this crime because you're a part of this whole organization. Whatever. It's a whole racket. But it just was harder to stick here for people. And I think with the fact of, I don't know. I really don't want to go and rehash the whole Diddy case, but it just essentially, I'm not surprised that the team did what they did, the prosecution, they did what they did, and it didn't work out. And that's a shame. That it sucks in this situation. Not that I'm ever really rooting for the justice system to lock people up, but when they're doing freaky criminal shit like Diddy, then, yeah, I am. So, take your pick on what the reason is, who knows, but, definitely seems like a shitty move, I guess, though I really have no love for either Comey here. I don't give a shit. I just think it is a lame, once again, you are trying to just roll ahead and then think, okay, that should make the people happy. We fix the problem. And it's like, no, people are still going to be mad at you, dude. They still are going to want you to, quote unquote, release the list. Even though, once again, I'll say this again. I don't think that there's some fucking just like list that has all the fucking, pedophiles that, were rocking with Epstein. I don't think he wrote that shit down or had like an exact dossier like that. I do think that there's relevant information that is being sat on, sure, but I don't think it's necessarily like an out and out list. But, I feel like I wanted to put that out there. But anyway, that is really all I really wanted to talk about with the Comeys. Let's go ahead and move on to our last story, which means we're going to take our last break and we'll go ahead and close it out. I still have a little bit of that sniffle. I'm so sorry, y'all. All right. Our last story is from the Associated Press Feds charged three, excuse me, three current or former Louisiana police chiefs in an alleged visa fraud scheme. We're on that fraud shit. Federal authorities have charged three small town Louisiana police chiefs with taking hundreds of $5,000 bribes over nearly a decade in exchange for filing false police reports that would allow non-citizens to apply for visas that let certain crime victims stay in the U.S. The false police reports would indicate that the immigrant was a victim of a crime that would qualify them to apply for a so-called U visa. U.S. Attorney Alexander C. Van Hook said Wednesday at a news conference in Lafayette. I don't know why I added Laville. He said the police officials were paid $5,000 for each name they provided falsified reports for, and that there were hundreds of names over the years. So you can see how this all racks up, and they kind of just all split the loot. There had been an unusual concentration of armed robberies of people who were not from Louisiana, Van Hook said, noting that two other people were also charged in the alleged scheme. I feel like this is kind of fucked up because they're probably thinking like, oh yeah, like, you know, we'll just do a place like Louisiana or, you know, maybe Lafayette. I don't know what their crime numbers are looking like, but they're just like, yeah, you know, it won't seem too abnormal. It won't seem too irregular. Let's just run it, dude. It's easy money print. And then it's like, yeah, but then they did notice and you did leave a trail, and it's a pretty obvious one when people actually start to pull at it. Let's see here. Earlier this month, a federal grand jury in Shreveport, I think I said that right, returned a 62-count indictment charging the 5 defendants with crimes including conspiracy to commit visa fraud, bribery, mail fraud, and money laundering, Van Hook said. Those charged are Oakdale Police Chief Chad Doyle, Forest Hill Police Chief Glenn Dixon, former Glenmora Police Chief Tebow Onishe, Michael Freck Slaney, a marshal in Oakdale, and Chandrakant Lala Patel, no relation to Kashyap Patel, who I mentioned earlier, an Oakdale businessman. So they got a little businessman in the ranks. If convicted, the defendants could face years or even decades of jail time. Court and jail records don't list attorneys for either of them. So I guess I should slap an allegedly here. You know, they allegedly did these things. So there you go. That's for the record. According to investigators, people seeking special visas would reach out to Patel, who would contact the lawman to offer them a payment in exchange for falsified police reports that identified the migrants as victims of armed robberies that never occurred. The scheme went on for nearly a decade, Van Hook said. When pressed about the extent of the fraud, Van Hook said there are hundreds of names specifically for visas that were approved. Asked what might happen to the people who allegedly paid bribes, including whether they might be charged or their immigration status might be changed, Van Hook said he couldn't say yet, but the investigation is ongoing. I bet you could imagine with this administration. And I'm sure people are saying, well, they were criminals. They did a criminal thing right then and there. They didn't do it the legal way. But an aside, I guess I want to already just make here, it's like, this kind of goes to show how fucked up the system is. And you can say, well, this is a misnomer. This is anecdotal. It's not every police chief and every state is doing this. But like the fact that it is possible, to do and get away with for years, and technically, you know, from the perspective of people that like, oh, we got to keep them out. Well, how are you doing that here? Like, you have a breach that went on for years. So like, no, like there's just no effective way to do this. And there's no effective way about going about it the right way for everybody, especially the amount of people who are trying to get here. So yeah, people are going to cut corners. If you have the money, you're going to try to make a way for it to happen. Like, that's just how this shit is going to work. Like, the system is putting you in a route where you either have no way of getting it, potentially, or you just do it the illegal way. And then you just try to keep living your life and doing whatever the fuck you do. But, once again, people don't really want to have that conversation. And I get it. It is, it's a big, debate, I guess, for some. I don't know. Anyway, I know I'm, once again, off track. Getting a U visa can give some crime victims and their families a pathway to U.S. citizenship. About 10,000 people get them in the 12-month period that ended, or got them, I should say, in the 12-month period that ended September 30th, 2022, which was the most recent period for which the Homeland Security Department had published the data. Let's see. These special visas, which were created by Congress in 2000, are specifically for victims of certain crimes who have suffered mental or physical abuse and are helpful to law enforcement or government officials in the investigation or prosecution of criminal activity, based on a description of the program published by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Let's see here. Actually, I really do feel like that's pretty much all I wanted to cover here. When I saw the fact that it was like, okay, we got big fraud, we got scams, I'm already in it. I'm already talking about it. But then the added layer, especially very topical right now, of just immigration being a part of it. And like, once again, this was something that people were using, and some people would say, well, are abusing to get in this country and stay in this country illegally. But I mean, man, I fucking get it, dude. You know, motherfuckers trying to get it any way they can. So, you know, that's the suite of the stories that we have for today. Oh, there's a bit of breaking news, and I really feel like I'm not gonna want to stop to cover it. So, the late night, or the late show, the late night show, whatever the fuck it is, you know, with Stephen Colbert, that shit, the Late Show used to be David Letterman. You know, big deal at one point in time. They're doing one more season. And it's done. Kaput. It's over. It's Jova. I don't know if you're a Late Show enjoyer. I'm really not. I used to really love a good talk show, when I was younger. But I don't know. I feel like after so long, you just kind of, I personally really stopped watching them as much. It really wasn't so much my jam anymore. And then now I just realize like that style of stuff I still like, but you can find it on YouTube, and you don't have to like watch it on, cable TV, or in this situation, like, was it CBS? I can't remember who runs Late Show. See, this is why you should have the article at the ready, but I'm not too invested in this. I was a Colbert Show guy. I used to enjoy watching that and The Daily Show. But I would say now I would not. Well, I was hyped that Jon Stewart came back, and now I kind of I haven't watched an episode. I could not care less. I'm just I'm cool on it actually. Not to be a hater, not to be a Jon Stewart hater or anything like that. And like I said, Colbert's cool too. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of that, and that's gonna be the end of this episode. There you go. I just wanted to just ham fist that in there. Once again, mea culpa if I got the network wrong or whatever, and even the fucking title of the show, which is crazy, but it's the end. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, isaiahnews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts. You can hit all of them. You can hit one of them. I'm happy. You can hit none of them, and that's okay. But if you do hit the YouTube, leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. If you'd like, if you could, that would be, would you kindly, all the stars, if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I need them all. 5 stars. But yeah, I mean, I really just appreciate you listening. It's really cool that, you just get to hang out, you just want to vibe with me. I think that's pretty dandy. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.